crazy. 3 places of live clean and deliciousness. Hey, Jarlene. All right, we are working on Facebook. I'm seeing people tune in. YouTube, if you guys can hear me, see me, say hello. All live chat messages, right? Yes. Wonderful. Okay, and bang, you could check this in a minute. Okay, I see my Facebookers coming in. Glad to see you. Sharon, Vanessa, hello. Okay, how's Instagram?
You're live.
Okay, we're live. Hello, 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 all 3 platforms. So let's talk today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the brilliance of emotional eating. And I'll tell you why. Because in my last live video, there was a question about eating and overeating and emotional eating. And it seems to be a hot topic. And then I had a few Snapchats and a few personal messages throughout the week of people asking me questions. So the first thing I want to do is kind of debunk all of the angst and stress around emotional eating and how we make it out to be such a horrible thing, right? So let's first start by defining emotional eating. Hi guys, I see everybody saying hello as you tune in. Thank you. So excited when you guys join me live. So technically, my definition of emotional eating is very simple. It's basically whenever we are eating, when our eating is driven by a feeling or an emotion, instead of being driven by hunger. Okay, hi all you YouTubers. I see you guys starting to say hello. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying hi so I can stay on target here, right? So emotional eating, my definition, is anytime we're eating food and that desire to eat the food is being driven by an emotion or a feeling, right? So it's not being driven by our desire to fulfill a physiological need for hunger in our body, right? And just as a side note, every single person on the planet, for the most part, if that's not the case, please introduce me to them, emotional eats at one point or another, right? Like if you go to a birthday party and you have a piece of cake, that's eating emotionally, right? That's like a celebration and you're eating food as a way to celebrate. That's an emotional, you're not eating food because you're hungry and you need energy and you need to fuel your body. You're eating it as a way to celebrate, right? And there's a lot of little ways we do that in our life. And here's the thing, that's totally fine when we are choosing it and we're cool with it and we're aware of it, right? But here's where the catch comes in, right? Well, okay, so there's 2 parts of being completely brilliant, in my opinion, when it comes to emotional eating. It's how we're brilliant for being emotional eaters and how our bodies are brilliant for creating this system that makes us want to eat when we're feeling emotions that we're not sure what to do with, right? So first things first, right? A lot of people will say emotional eating is self-sabotage. I completely disagree with that. I think it's our best attempt at self-love. I think it's our best attempt at taking really good care of ourselves, right? So let's break it down. Feeling comes up. There is something uncomfortable, some type of emotion that we're uncomfortable with. Maybe we haven't really learned to either identify or how to deal with. And so as an attempt to soothe and ease and relax ourselves, we eat a little bit of food, right? Now, why do I think that's brilliant? Because it works. In the short term, it works. That food creates a sense of relief and ease and comfort for us. And anybody who is on a path of health and wellness and or weight loss, the name of the game is feeling good. That is the reason why we want to be healthy, so we can feel good. And that's the reason we want to lose weight, so we can feel good, right? And so in some ways, whether it's conscious or unconscious, we are making an attempt to feel good in that moment, which I don't care what anybody says, I think it's brilliant, right? So if you do that, just pat yourself on the back and know that you're making a really great attempt at taking amazing care of yourself, right? It's just not a super effective way to achieve that goal in the long term, right? Like if food didn't make us gain weight or make us feel full or make us feel weighed down or, any of the effects that having too much food could do in our body, emotional eating would be the best thing on the planet, right? But that's not the case. Now, on the flip side of that, what I think is so brilliant about having the habit of emotional eating, our bodies, is that, so let's say, when you're having a desire to eat, that's being driven by an emotion, right? That's basically your body needing your attention. It's like you needing you, right? Something is going on and you are needing your own attention. You are needing to care to yourself on some level. It's like I said in our last video. Imagine like your friend came to you and she was like really upset, and she was like, I've just been feeling really lonely, and that's been really hard for me. And you were like, here, just have some Twizzlers. Here, just have some Twizzlers, right? Like you would never do that, right? But that's kind of what we do to ourselves, right? But the beauty of emotional eating is this. Ready? Watch this. I get very excited about these things. Is that the emotion comes up, we get a desire to eat, and then the fact that we get uncomfortable in our body makes us go, why am I doing this in the first place, right? And if you are patient with yourself, you have an awareness that there's an emotion that needs your attention. So it's almost like you have a built-in system that is ringing the bell whenever you are not paying attention to your needs or when you're not noticing your needs, right? So it's like this all-in-one system. And it actually works brilliantly once you just understand it a little bit, right? So 3 very simple steps to working with emotional eating would be, number 1, right? You just simply create an awareness around the behavior without trying to change it, right? So in other words, you could, I've said this in a video before, like, have you ever been in a situation where you were overeating something? Maybe it's a bag of chips or it's ice cream or whatever it is. And instead of trying to do it really fast or trying to do it behind your back or trying to tell yourself you shouldn't be doing it, you just stay with yourself and you just stay really curious. Like, oh, this is so interesting. Like, here I am. I'm not really that hungry, but I really feel like eating this bag of Doritos right now, right? That's just really interesting, right? So when you take the judgment and the critique out of it, you can just get curious about it, right? So that alone kind of opens the doors. Then once you can have that awareness, then you can say to yourself, I wonder what is making me want to have this. Like, how am I feeling? What's the feeling? What am I feeling right now? And if you give yourself a little space without judgment to explore it, you might say for yourself, I don't know. I come home from work and I feel like I need to relax and unwind. Well, that's so interesting, right? Because you have needing to relax and unwind. There's a lot of ways to relax and unwind, and food doesn't, well, it can do it temporarily, like we just said, but it doesn't do it in the long run, because as soon as you're done eating, you still need to relax and unwind, right? So one of my favorite quotes is, if hunger is not the problem, food is not the answer, right? Because whatever emotion is there before you eat the food will still be there when you're done eating the food, except now you will have fill in the emotion and you'll be full. So then we have like 2 problems. And here's what happens. Then what we do is we make the food the problem, and we make the overeating the problem, and we make the we got to go on a diet the problem, and then we're all over here with the food and the diet, and the cause, the thing that is the problem in the first place, is still underneath there, just waiting for you to take a look, just waiting for you to give it a little love, just waiting for you to say, hey, it's okay, we're gonna take a look at this and we're gonna figure this out. So and then once you identify the emotion and once you can see what that is, so if it's lonely or if it's angry or if it's whatever it is that makes you want to eat a little something, right? You can then say to yourself, what you can explore is what I should say. Practice exploring other ways to meet the need, the true emotional need, right? So it really, when you can look at it like this and lay it out, you really can unravel the whole thing. I think when I first learned this for myself, because I was a big emotional eater, and not only was I a big emotional eater, I was really good at beating myself up over it. Like, so it was like layers on top of layers. And I remember when I first kind of started to understand the unwinding of this and what it really means and what's really going on, it literally felt like the world was being lifted off my shoulders and like, oh, okay, so there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have some crazy problem. I'm really trying to take really good care of myself. It's just not this one particular attempt is not working. And so I am going to explore other ways, right? So I find that to be super enlightening. Danny, what if someone triggers you and you react with overeating? Okay, so that's a great question, because what we have to remember is that the only way somebody can trigger us is because of what we are thinking about that person, right? So let's start right there. Is really, we want to say that the person that's triggering us, I mean, look, people can annoy us and all those things, but it's what you're thinking that's going to drive you to eat, right? Because you're trying to soothe yourself. So a couple of things you can look at here are, one, okay, let's just say this person triggers me. I have negative emotions that arise when I'm around them. And so I eat to soothe myself, right? So you can say to yourself, well, how else can I soothe these feelings? Like I'm a big journaler. I love the idea of journaling. And so whatever's going on for you about this person, like get it on paper and get it out of your head. But the other thing is, if you really want to take it back another notch, is maybe you can explore ways to shift your thoughts or feelings about this person that's driving you crazy, right? Like maybe you could soften up around your belief system around this person a little so that you're not creating discord in your body, right? So that they're not annoying you so much. Maybe you could find a way to just lighten up the way you're thinking around the person. And then you don't even need to worry about the food because you won't need to soothe in the first place. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you guys have any questions, now would be the time to ask them. How's Instagram doing?
Instagram's okay with that. Why don't you say hi to them?
Hi, guys. You guys are getting the side view over here because it's the first time we're doing Instagram Live, but I'm excited to be able to share this information with the people that are on Instagram as well. Okay, Jessica says, do you think that craving sweets and sweet things just turns into a bad habit? Do you think craving sweets and sweet things just turns into a bad habit? I'm trying to understand the question. So I think that craving sweets can come from a lot of different places. Let's start there, right? So a lot of times from an emotional place, we can crave sweets when we are desiring some type of sweet experience in life, right? So when you're maybe feeling lonely or you're wanting a little love or attention or companionship, it's very easy for the body to desire sweets. It's also very easy for the body to desire sweets when we're tired because it knows it's an instant source of fuel. It's instant energy. So when you're tired, your body's like, let's get energy. Let's have some sweets. So and then I also think we can crave sweets when we eat a lot of crappy sugar sweets, right? Because the palate gets very obliterated, and so it cannot appreciate natural flavors or natural sweetnesses in real whole foods, which makes us want more and more and more. Remember, like highly processed foods, guys, there are people in factories whose job it is to make those foods smell a certain way, feel a certain way in your mouth, kick off a certain receptor in your brain. It's the job. So I'm like, if you're going to have a sweet, get it as close to the real whole deal as possible. Highest quality, artisan, homemade, and then enjoy it and try to pull away from the processed stuff because that also can mess up the biological taste buds, if that makes any sense. Okay. I hope that helped a little. My husband's over here. He helps me out, and he's got a couple questions for me. From you guys.
Well, Atlan is on YouTube, and he mentioned something that I guess this method has helped him with emotional eating, and it also, I guess, he uses it for smoking and drinking, and or feels like it could be used for those.
Okay, so could this work for smoking and drinking? I do believe it can. Again, guys, here's the thing, and this is where I really want you to give yourselves a lot of credit. I know I give myself a lot of credit for this, is that if you are somebody who's turning to food or alcohol or cigarettes, right, as a way to feel better, pat yourself on the back because you know on some level that the goal of this life experience is to feel good, right? Like we want to be healthy because we want to feel good. We want to lose weight so we can feel good. We want to have, that cigarette to feel good, right? Because it helps you relax. It puts you into a state of ease. It soothes you, right? So pat yourself on the back for knowing that, hey, I'm trying to get myself into a aligned space for myself. I want to feel good. Good for you. I think that's worth celebrating. But then comes the awareness, right? And you have to say, well, is this approach working for me? Is this approach working for me, right? And what is it that I'm really looking for? And what is it that I really need? And most of the time, what it is that we need, guys, is our own attention, our own tenderness, our own compassion, our own kindness, our own shut off the brainness, right? Like we can be very harsh to ourselves internally. And I know I've shared this in videos before, but sometimes like think of something that you're saying to yourself and then say it out loud. And imagine saying it to like your daughter or your best friend or somebody who's very important to you, right? Like if you wouldn't say it out loud to another human being, you better not be saying it to yourselves. You get what I'm saying? Because that stuff runs its own script and creates its own set of actions ultimately, right? Because remember, guys, what we think creates our feelings, and how we feel drives our actions. You cannot take positive action from a negative space. Okay, no bad self-talk. Exactly, Sharon. Okay, B, any other questions that you had pulled?
You want some diet? You want some food questions, or what you want?
Well,
more?
let me ask on, and what's going on Instagram? Any questions on Instagram?
People were just.
Can
they're
I put up
showing
more
I think
healthy
they're like,
dessert
hey, what's going on
recipes?
here?
Yes, I can. Hey, Instagram, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram right now, and I'm taking questions on emotional eating, or if you guys have any other questions. We'll go for a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Put them up on that screen. I'm looking for you. I can use an app to log my food. It really helps me be accountable. Then I know exactly what I'm eating and how much. So Shirley, I think if the app works for you, do it. I think for some people it's a positive and some it doesn't. Here's the question, and this is always the question. Does it make me feel more aware and more connected to myself? And if it does, then it's working for you, right? If it makes you feel more disconnected, like, well, it says I'm supposed to have 200 more calories, but I'm not hungry, but I'm gonna eat it anyway because it says I'm supposed to. Now we're disconnecting, right? But if it just helps you raise awareness, that's a good thing, right?
Kelly Nealon on YouTube is 7 days free of smoking. She wants to eat everything.
Congratulations. And that's okay. And that's okay. Maybe that's just part of the process right now, and you just give yourself a little space, knowing that you are on a place to getting yourself of naturally feeling good all of the time. And just allow yourself to be with every step of that. What if you don't have an appetite? I only eat one time a day and won't be hungry again. What do you recommend? Don't eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. I mean, if you're like, hey, I'm not hungry and I want to have more of an appetite, I would say move your body more, right? Because that's a way to build up your hunger. Okay, a couple more questions. I love so many of the recipes. They've been so helpful. Is there a reason you add protein powder to your diet instead of just getting that protein from meat, eggs, or quinoa? Jessica. Excuse me. Okay, so good question, Jessica. I like to do strength training, so I do a lot of strength training in the gym. Now, does that mean you need protein powder? Absolutely not. But I will say that personally, I like it. I just like the way it tastes. I like the way it makes my smoothies taste. I like the way it makes my shakes taste. So that's mostly the reason I use it. I think it's definitely like, if you're thinking of food from like stairs, that whole food is definitely preferable over adding protein powder, but it's something that's convenient to me, and I do enjoy the taste of it, and it works for me. So that's why I use it. Okay, what do you think? Should we wrap it up, guys? All right, so if you guys have any more questions, throw them up.
All these people, all over the world, we'll say hi to.
Oh, you have all these. Oh, we have all these people. Oh my gosh,
Saggy.
We have Sagi in Israel, Texas, Romania. Oh my gosh, Saudi Arabia. Y'all are insane and amazing, and thank you so much for being here. I've lost over 160 pounds and still deal with body image issues. Do you have any suggestions or advice to help combat that? Yes, just keep practicing. Be practicing. Just be soft with yourself. I had that same thing for many, many years, and I really think that the practice is just making a decision that you want to feel differently, and making a decision that you're committed to loving yourself and being kind to yourself, no matter what you're seeing, right? Or no matter what you're feeling, that no matter what's happening, it's okay. No matter what's happening, you're gonna practice knowing that it's okay, and that you're gonna choose love anyway. You're gonna choose sanity anyway. Another woman that I love to follow, her name is Isabella Foxen Duke Foxen. I'm sorry about that. But she helps women around food, and she always said, I've loved that she says, you have to want to be sane more than you want to be skinny or to have a specific body. And so I think for anybody out there that struggles with body image or emotional eating, that before we could start bringing in rules and like diets and plans, we got to first work on like love and awareness and understanding and compassion, etc., etc. So my advice to you would be, practice training your brain to see the good about you and your body. And no, it doesn't happen overnight, but that you will practice, and before you know it, you'll be like, wow, when I walk past the mirror, I don't even say negative things to myself anymore, right? You just practice, and then one day it's just, you're like, wow, I didn't even do that anymore. It slowly builds momentum.
What's a quick sort of like an example? She goes to the mirror and she's looking at herself. What can she do to counter the trigger?
So if you go to so let's put it into action. If you're looking in the mirror, right? And you have a negative spew of thoughts, be aware of them. Try to detach from them, meaning that just because you're having a thought doesn't mean you have to attach to it. Like I say all the time, if you all knew what went through my head on a regular basis, you might not want to watch. No, I'm just kidding. But, just because we think it doesn't mean it is who we are or that we have to say it, share it, or believe it. I mean, think of all the information that we pull from the media and from TV that we then think that we don't agree with at all, right? So recognize just because you're having the thought doesn't mean it's true, number one. Then recognize that you have a desire to think differently and start with something that could just feel good. Like I love that my body carries me through the day. I love my eyes. I simply, I've done this with some clients before when they can't get to a better feeling body place, just start with, I have a body. I have a body. Maybe it doesn't feel amazing, but it feels a hell of a lot better than I hate my body or my body is disgusting, right? I have a body, it's neutral. It brings you to neutral. And then when you're comfortable with neutral, then you start to go, I have a body and I really kind of like my elbows, right? Or whatever it is. You look for it, but that's the practice, not the plate. It's up here. Okay, my friends. So I'm not going to keep us too long. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you back here next week. I'm not going to be live on Friday next week, but I am either going to do it Wednesday or Thursday. I'll make sure to put that on social media. And if you're not on my newsletter, go to cleananddelicious.com, sign up because I always send an email out so everybody knows when to expect these lives and what I'm going to be chatting about. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers. Finish. This is going to